to know good and evil in the Old Testament is actually a good thing. In chapter 3, verse 22, God says he knows good and evil, so it can't be sin. So to know good and evil basically means to have wisdom. And that's why she wanted she wanted to know good and evil, and then she looked at it and said, that'll give me wisdom. It's the same thing. And you're right, Ben. So it's not bad to have these things, but it's bad to get them in a certain way. And so Adam and Eve believed that the path to wisdom was best reached through disobedience and distrust. And that was the real problem. And now you get this promise that one male will come from the line of Eve, and this individual male will defeat evil. And Christians for 2,000 years have said this is Jesus. And a lot of scholars say, how in the world is this Jesus? I don't see Jesus here. I just see an offspring or a seed. Where do you get Jesus from? And the answer is we get him from the rest of the Bible. This is an introduction, right? We're 3 chapters into the story. Do you give away all the answers in the introduction? No, you set the stage for the story to unfold. And so you just have to keep reading the rest of the Bible to see who is this individual seed that will defeat evil. Who is this individual seed that will overcome the one that is ruining the world? You just have to keep reading the Bible and see who is it. It's got to be a male, and it's got to be one person. So who do you think's the best choice? Jesus. Turn to 2 Samuel chapter 11. In chapter 10, David just defeated the son of a king. There was a king named Nahash, which means serpent. So in chapter 10, you have a guy named Serpent King, and he has a son named Hanun, which would mean he's the son of a serpent. And David defeats him. So in chapter 10, you're like, wow, David's defeating the serpent and its seed. Wow, David's the one we're waiting for. He can defeat King Serpent. This is great. And then you get chapter 11, the very next chapter. And the author shows you he's not the one to defeat the serpent. This is the story of David and Bathsheba, which is just a terrible story. David is the one seeing. David is the one saying she's good. David is the one taking. David is not the one who will overcome the serpent. He's the one who sins like Eve to the serpent. He did not resist. He's not holy enough. He's not righteous enough. He's not the one. So Romans 5:12 and following. Therefore, just as through one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. So who's the one man that sin and death have entered the world through? Who would that be?
Adam?
Yeah, Adam. So you've already seen that within the Old Testament, there's this hope, this longing that someone will not go the way of the serpent, right? Abraham followed into the sin that the serpent laid for Adam and Eve. David followed into the sin that the serpent laid for Adam and Eve. Samson follows into the sin that the serpent laid for Adam and Eve. This is a terrible problem. The nation of Israel followed into the sin that the serpent laid for Adam and Eve. You're waiting for one righteous person who will stand up and live the right way against the serpent. It's the hope of the Bible right here. A new Adam will come and fix what the first Adam failed to do by living a righteous life, fully dedicated to the Lord all the time. We're waiting for a new Adam figure, like a new leader of humanity to rise up and resist the devil and defeat the devil by living a perfectly righteous life, trusting in God the entire time. And the answer is Jesus. He's the one. So it's the idea that the world, the creation around us is groaning, it's struggling, it's cursed as a way of letting us know that we as a human race have not submitted to God like we should. And when we submit to God like we should, when God makes all things new, the creation will be fixed, because the creation struggles is a symbol of our struggles with God. And this sounds, if you haven't picked up on it, this sounds a lot like Romans chapter 8, doesn't it? Creation is groaning, waiting for the revealing of the sons of God, waiting for us to receive our new glorified bodies. That's what he says in Romans 8. So this is, I think, the picture, and I think this is how Paul reads it, and it makes a lot of sense.
When my heart is aching, it's the right time. It's the right time, and my soul is reaching. It's the right time. It's the right time to dive deep, to understand that there is an Adam in every man. This was my garden, I made it die. It's asking me why. And I see tears in all things. Everything is broken, and I hear them crying. Everything is broken. And there was a time when the truth didn't have to be spoken, but now everything's broken. And this is my confession. It's about time. It's about time of the world's condition. It's about time. It's about time that you see my glory and shame. This world fell through me, but out of the flames will rise a new earth. From death will come birth, a cure to the curse. But I see tears in all things. Everything is broken, and I hear them crying. Everything is broken, and I see tears in all things. Everything is broken, and I hear it crying. Your creation is groaning. I remember a time when the truth didn't have to be spoken, but now everything's broken. And I live in frustration, and it is mine, and it is mine. Watch my garden dying, and it is mine, and it is. I gave it death, and I brought it hell, and there grew a cross to mark where I fell. The day will come when Adam again will pay for my sins. But I see tears in all things, 'cause everything is broken. I hear it crying. Your creation is groaning, and I see tears in all things. Everything is broken, and I hear them crying. Everything is broken. I long for the time when the truth will be awoken, and you'll fix what I've broken.
The idea is that insofar as Adam continued to obey God, be righteous, he would live. Insofar as he lived righteously, he would have eternal life. So we're waiting for someone to gain eternal life by living perfectly righteously. And the only person who does that's Jesus.